video is gonna get taken out of context, and I know that at this point I can't really stop people from doing that because that's what my whole existence on the internet is just me being taken out of context and stuff, which is fine. That's what I signed up for, isn't it? And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Rachel Zegler faces shocking consequences after Snow White gets pulled from theaters. And no, this isn't just about box office numbers. It's about something she said. A comment that was supposed to sound empowering ended up fueling massive backlash online. Critics say she mocked the original story, disrespected its legacy, and pushed too far. Now, Disney's dealing with the fallout, and Zegler's career may be caught in the crossfire. Fans are divided, and social media is on fire. So, what did she say exactly? And why did Disney pull the plug? Let's find out. The controversial comments that started it all.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
The live-action Snow White movie faced a major backlash after Rachel Zegler, the actress playing the lead role, made some bold comments that stirred up a lot of debate. It all started when Zegler, during an interview, began talking about how her version of Snow White was going to be different from the original 1937 animated film. She didn't hold back. Instead of celebrating the classic movie, she criticized it, calling it outdated and problematic. Zegler even went so far as to say that Snow White's relationship with the prince in the animated movie was weird and not what little girls need to see anymore.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
She also made it clear that the new movie would focus on female empowerment, shifting away from the romantic love story in favor of a more independent, self-reliant Snow White. This didn't sit well with a lot of fans. Many were upset that she dismissed a beloved classic that had been a part of their childhood for decades. Fans and critics couldn't help but question why Zegler took on the role if she was so critical of the original story. With this, she was faced with immediate backlash.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years. The cartoon was made 85 years ago. And therefore, it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
She also shared a personal detail in an interview, admitting that she had been scared of Snow White as a child and couldn't even watch the original movie. These comments only added fuel to the fire. Fans couldn't understand why she would take on the role of a character she apparently didn't even like. For many, it felt like she was disrespecting something they had loved for years.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years. The cartoon was made 85 years ago. And therefore, it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
Soon, other voices joined the conversation. Some of them were celebrities. Others were regular people, but they all had strong opinions. People wondered if Disney was making too many changes to its classic characters just to push a progressive narrative at the expense of the stories that had already been loved for generations. Here's the most intriguing part. Snow White controversy of epic proportion. As the controversy grew, more and more people came forward to express their opinions on the matter. Actress Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen in the film, responded to the growing criticism, defending the direction of the remake. She emphasized that the new Snow White was meant to be a fresh take, not an attack on the original. But despite her efforts, many fans weren't convinced. They felt like Disney was throwing away what made the original movie so magical just to fit into today's culture wars.
Well, first of all, the first version of Snow White was like 80-something years ago. So it's kind of dated right now in the version that we have.
This only added fuel to the fire as fans shared their disappointment on different social media platforms. They pointed out that Snow White was a timeless story about kindness, innocence, and hope. Some argued that Disney was trying too hard to make everything politically correct, even if it meant altering the essence of the characters. People felt like they were losing the simple, charming Snow White they grew up with.
Becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
As the controversy continued to grow, the movie's reputation became so bad before it even hit theaters. This left fans questioning if the new Snow White was going to be a disaster. Stay tuned as we delve more into this. The backlash takes a great toll. Despite the massive attention the film was receiving, it wasn't translating into excitement for the release. The controversy over Rachel Zegler's comments and the changes made to Snow White's character had caused a lot of fans to turn against the film. From the very start, early reviews were less than favorable. Critics were quick to point out that while the movie tried to modernize the classic, it seemed to have missed the mark for many viewers.
The movie that nobody wanted to see, and I mean that seriously, nobody wants to see this movie. Ticket pre-sales are nowhere near what Disney was hoping for. Let's just say if you wanted to buy tickets for the 9 p.m. show tonight, wherever you are in America, you'd be just fine.
As opening weekend approached, the movie's box office projections looked grim. Disney was hoping for a big opening, especially after the success of other live-action remakes like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. These films had made over $1 billion each, so Snow White was expected to do well too. But as the box office numbers came in, it became clear that things were not going as planned. The movie was failing to attract a strong audience. Domestic and international numbers were underwhelming, and it was clear that Snow White was heading for a major flop. Here's the most astonishing part: the shocking amount Snow White lost.
Snow White breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again. Ever.
When compared to other live-action remakes, Snow White became one of Disney's biggest failures in recent years. While The Lion King made over $1.6 billion, Beauty and the Beast grossed $1.26 billion. But Snow White was struggling to even break $200 million at the box office. This massive difference showed just how much the controversy around the movie had impacted its financial success. Disney had invested millions into the movie, and now it was facing a major loss.
Snow White starring Rachel Zegler opened to a dismal $43 million, snagging the title of the lowest debut weekend for any Disney live-action remake, beating 2019's Dumbo at $46 million. They beat Dumbo. Shame on you, but it's for the worst ever.
The disappointment wasn't just in the box office numbers. The critical response was harsh. Many critics felt that the changes Disney had made to the original story had not improved it. Some praised the movie for attempting to update Snow White's character for a modern audience, but most agreed that it felt more like an unnecessary shift that missed the heart of what made the character so special.
Because you guys decided to do an ideological rebrand of a 1937 classic, and now you're confused as to why the movie's failing. I grew up with that version. It was a beautiful classic fairy tale of innocence, love, femininity. Now there's not even a prince.
Furthermore, the audience score on review sites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb was shockingly low. Fans felt let down. They had loved the original Snow White for its simplicity, charm, and innocence. This new version, which tried to turn Snow White into a more modern, independent woman, seemed to strip away everything that made her character special. And now many viewers see it as one of Disney's biggest mistakes.
The reviews and everything are, from the right, are certainly like, all that, she's crazy, the actress is crazy. But like, the reason the movie did this badly is because the movie's just bad.
Why fans are disappointed about the changes. The biggest issue fans had with the new Snow White wasn't just the story itself, it was the way the character had been changed. Snow White, in the original, was innocent and kind, a character who needed saving by a prince. That was part of what made her relatable to kids. But in the new movie, Snow White isn't just waiting around to be saved. She's actively trying to take control of her own destiny, becoming more independent. While this may appeal to some, many fans felt like it went against the core of what made Snow White so endearing in the first place.
People don't want Snow White as president. They want her to be this damsel in distress. The whole purpose of watching fairy tales is because they're love stories.
For fans of the original, it felt like Disney was erasing the character's innocence and turning her into something completely different. The message of kindness, hope, and the triumph of good over evil had been at the heart of the original Snow White. And this remake, with its focus on female empowerment and independence, seemed to change that. It felt like the filmmakers were more focused on making a statement than telling the story that had been beloved for generations. But here's the twist. Stay tuned. The question every fan keeps asking. The biggest question fans are asking is whether these changes to the classic Snow White were really necessary. Was it worth losing what made the original film so special just to make a more modern, politically correct version? For many, the answer was no. They felt like the story of Snow White had worked perfectly fine for decades without these updates. The changes felt unnecessary, and the backlash was only growing as more fans voiced their disappointment.
My grandmother saw the original in the theaters, obviously, and I remember she told us that when people watched it originally in 1937 in the theaters, it was an amazing experience because for most people, it was the first color movie. And so, first of all, there was the visual of it. But second of all, people had so connected emotionally with the character of Snow White that when she eats from the apple and she dies, people were literally weeping in the theater because they liked the character of Snow White so much. It seems like it's difficult to imagine a situation in which anyone was weeping in the theater as Rachel Zegler's character.
In the end, the movie was a financial and critical disappointment. Disney had hoped to revitalize the Snow White franchise, but instead, it had alienated a large portion of its fan base. The changes made to the beloved character and the film's controversial direction left many feeling like they had lost something important. The backlash didn't just hurt the movie, it hurt Disney's reputation with fans who had grown up with the magic of their original classics. So, do you think Rachel Zegler will learn from all this? And will Disney continue to make major changes to their classic stories? Or will they start to listen to the fans who love them just the way they are? Let us know in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.